Hey guys, welcome to the Covenant Cast. These new podcasts that we're going to start putting out are going to be about our Christian faith, our marriage, and our personal relationship with Jesus. So just to introduce ourselves, my name is Zach West.
And I'm Bethany West.
And we've been married for almost 5 years. This August, it'll be coming up on our 5-year anniversary. So it's a big milestone. 5 years goes by like this. It's crazy when you have 2 kids. It goes by even faster. But what we're going to do for today is we're going to introduce ourselves, talk a little bit about our background, our history, where we come from, how our faith first got founded, and how our faith is today, and how the Lord basically had a huge hand in putting us together in our marriage, and how He's still moving in our family right now. So I'll let you go ahead and go first.
So my name is Bethany, and I was actually brought up Christian. My dad has been a pastor for over 18 years now, so that was a big part of my life too, growing up as a pastor's kid. My parents brought us up Christian. They showed us how to fear the Lord, and honestly, like, them doing that really helped me a lot throughout my whole life practically, because everyone knew me as a good girl. All my sisters were considered good girls, and just, I guess, growing up as a pastor's daughter, I knew eyes were always going to be on us, so that kind of like made me make sure that my testimony was good. Ever since I was like in elementary school, middle school, high school, my parents, since my parents taught us, to fear the Lord, it kind of came natural to me to really not do anything crazy. But yeah, I've been a Christian my whole life. And recently, actually, we got baptized together. When was it? Like
2021.
So that was like what?
Summer.
4 or 5 years ago?
Summer 2021. That's 4 years ago.
Yeah. So I guess my testimony isn't anything crazy, because I was always like, I was brought up Christian, and I really never did anything bad. But yeah, that's really it.
Nothing bad.
Nothing really. You know that too. I never did anything bad.
People are gonna think that you.
I didn't though. What did I do that was bad?
Don't make it sound like you're too good.
Well, no. I mean, I don't have like a testimony where I partied a lot or did drugs or anything.
I know that. I'm just saying. Oh, that's. So, like I said, my name is Zach. It's very similar to my wife. I was brought up in a Christian household. My dad would preach to the youth quite often. He had been going a couple of years preaching with the youth. My mom and dad had both grown up in church. They brought us up in church. I've been going to church ever since I can remember, basically. We were at a church with my parents. The longest was like 18 years. And we had stayed in that church for a while. We had been in that community for a while. And I was brought up Christian, but my story is a little bit different than my wife's. There were certain times in my life where, even though I said I was a Christian, I definitely didn't act like a Christian. So my testimony wasn't as clean as my wife's, in the sense that I did indulge myself in sin, and I did get caught up in some of the things that the world had to offer, especially once I got to high school. And I think a big part of that was just the friends that I chose and the people that I decided to hang out with really had an influence on me. But to be honest with you, I feel like the Lord spared me from a lot of the really egregious sins that were just like, oh man. I mean, again, everybody has their own idea of what sin is bad. Is it that bad? Is it really that serious? But to put it simply, like, I was a kid that was very outgoing, but I was still scared to get in trouble. So if I was gonna get in trouble with my dad, I was terrified, because my dad was a teacher and he was super strict. My mom was a teacher. Excuse me. She was super strict, and so my parents were strict on me growing up. So I did act out of line every now and then. I was hyper. I have ADHD. You'll find that out throughout this, and so I would act up every now and then. But again, my parents were trying to instill that fear of the Lord in me. And for me, I just kind of took it and went with it a different route. I would just behave bad when my parents weren't around. So obviously I wasn't misbehaving with my parents. I wasn't like acting out or cursing in front of them or doing anything like that in front of them. I would just do it with my friends instead. And I was just living like this double life where I basically claimed that I was a Christian, and then I would just curse and go with my friends and go to different parties here and there and just hang out with them. And I wouldn't indulge in the lifestyle as much as they would, but I was still there in those situations, in those circumstances where I definitely should not have been in those circumstances in the first place. And so my friends had a big pull on me to do certain things that I shouldn't have been doing. And most of my life, I had claimed to be a Christian. not even really knowing what it meant to be a Christian. So I just kind of got caught up in this hypocritical life where said I was a Christian, didn't act like I was a Christian. People had called me out on it before. Even people that were not Christians had called me out saying like, hey, you're a Christian, you don't act like a Christian. And it still didn't faze me. It didn't actually hit me until I turned 18, once I graduated and went out of high school. I was in college, and I started, taking my relationship with Jesus to be more serious after I had basically realized how terrible of a person I was, and I realized how awful I had been, what a hypocrite I was throughout my entire life, basically. And once I was 18, I finally gave my life to the Lord and just repented from like basically everything that I had done. And that's when the Lord truly opened my eyes to the sin that I was living in. And ever since I was 18 years old, that's when I can say that I truly became a Christian, and it's just been a continuous growth with the Lord. Obviously, as a Christian, you're not perfect. You still have your ups and downs, but I can confidently say, I know the exact date, February 14th, 2017. That's the day that I gave my life to live for Jesus and to just turn away from everything else that I had been doing in my life. So yeah, ever since then, it's just been on a roller coaster. It only goes up, little dips every now and then, but just continuously up, closer to the Lord. And with my wife now, it's been amazing. So that's where we're at right now.
And actually, we went to the same middle school and high school. I remember hearing bad stories about it.
She didn't even know it was me.
Yes, I did. Once in middle school, I remember I heard a story about a student doing something, and I was like, dang, like that guy's bad. That guy's annoying.
It wasn't even that. The stuff that I did was just like hyper
like
kid stuff.
childish.
Yeah, it was just like immature stuff. People are gonna think that I like robbed a gas station or something. It was just me like doing dumb stuff. Like I just broke down a rock wall at my school, and I got in trouble for that. And she was like, "Oh my gosh, this kid's terrible."
Oh, who would have thought?
Yeah,
That was
obviously.
my future husband doing that.
I
And then
did.
again in high school, we went to the same high school.
I did worse things in high school, but it wasn't. Again, everybody has their own scale of how bad sin is. I can just genuinely say that compared to my friends, I was a saint. Even though I still was bad, my friends were just like way, 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 way worse than me. I still had that fear of getting in trouble with my dad, and I was more scared of my dad than the Lord. But at least I was scared of something. It just wasn't. I wasn't scared of the Lord when I should have been in high school. So there was plenty of things that still kept me from getting out of trouble, like not getting a good whooping from my dad. Even when I was in high school, I was just avoiding that as much as I could. But yeah, she heard about me a little bit in high school. Just not the best way, but she didn't remember who it was. Once we started dating, she didn't remember that it was me. But
So do you think that since you were growing up, like since you were brought up Christian, did that help you with like when it came to dating or with girls or something like that?
honestly, yeah. Well, yeah, that's another story. I think two things that helped me out a lot. I was ugly and short. I didn't get tall.
It's not true.
I'm like 6'1" right now. I was not this tall. Excuse me. My gosh. Even got some water over here. I was not this tall of my whole life. I was 5 feet tall as a sophomore, leaving a sophomore in high school. It wasn't until like my junior year I hit 5'7" and then 6'1". But that had a big part to play with girls just not liking me. They didn't want me as a boyfriend. They wanted me as a brother. And so that, honestly, that's one of those things where I just feel like the Lord spared me from like indulging in that sin, just because if I was tall and girls liked me, I would have just gone with it, and that would have just been like the worst thing ever. But I think being raised in a Christian household did have an effect on me as well, because my parents had like the basic principles of what to do and what not to do. And so I was just following them because my parents said so, not so much because the Bible said so, but because I knew my parents were Christians, and I'll just listen to my parents because they're Christians. And so it wasn't so much of, I'm going to listen to what my parents are saying because this is God's word and it's true. It was just because I better listen to my parents because I just don't want to get a spanking at home. And so my parents did have an impact. They did keep me from, indulging in certain sins, just like the fear of my parents. I can say that I did fear my parents. And my dad always says that there's nothing like a healthy fear of your dad. And in a good way, you should have some sort of healthy fear of your parents. You don't want to get in trouble with them. Just like you have a healthy fear of the Lord, you have, obviously you should fear him more, but you fear the Lord in the sense that you know that he can punish you, discipline you, give you consequences where you're really going to feel it. And I just felt like that more towards my parents when I should have been feeling like that more towards the Lord. But it did help me. It did help me to a certain degree because like I said, I know I was a bad kid, but I know that most of the kids around me were worse.
Yeah.
And so, it doesn't excuse me, but yeah. Do you think for you when you were growing up, was it kind of like a similar case as mine where you were scared to get in trouble just because your dad was the pastor? Or did you actually like have that fear of the Lord where you just didn't want to get in trouble because you knew that the Lord didn't want you to do that and that you feared him enough to stay away from it? What was it more of?
The second, where I feared the Lord more. I think I was just more at church. I think I was more fearful because, well, not fearful, but like I knew since I was a pastor's kid that they were looking at us at church, and that was kind of like a place where I knew I obviously wouldn't misbehave and stuff, but that really wasn't my fear just because my dad was a pastor. Mm-hmm. Even though I would say, because when I would tell people my dad was a pastor, I was very confident in saying that because I knew that they knew I was a good girl. It
wasn't going to look bad on you.
Yeah, like I knew, like I wasn't like trying to hide it, because if I was a bad girl, I obviously wouldn't be telling people that I was a pastor's daughter. But no, I would tell everyone like I'm a pastor's daughter, not like being prideful or anything. I would just say it. And I mean, people would people would tell me like, oh yeah, I mean, you could tell your sisters you guys are very different, like you guys don't do anything bad. But I wasn't scared with my, like in that way, that since my dad was a pastor, I was more scared in like with the Lord, because growing up, my parents, they didn't allow us to date till we were 18, so which was easy until you hit high school and you literally see everyone dating. You see them, at football games with their boyfriend or girlfriend. You're like, oh, how nice. But then I remember there was many times where I had that opportunity, like to date someone, but I was so like scared. I guess I was scared of my parents, yeah, but more scared of the Lord, that I was like, well, what if, my parents find out, or the Lord shows my parents in a way, where I'm dating someone secretly, and I just knew it would never work. So, that's why they told me I couldn't date till I was 18. And it was easy, but hard at the same time. But yeah, I guess fearing the Lord was what really kept me is what really kept me pure. And is that how you say it?
Pure.
Pure.
It's not pure, it's pure.
Is what kept me pure. Is that how you say it?
You said pure. Pure.
Pure.
No, gosh.
Pure.
Yes.
Pure.
No.
Anyways, you know what I mean. But yeah, I think that played a big part of my upbringing, especially in high school, because that's where you're surrounded literally with so many bad people, literally like doing drugs or going with so many guys, and just so many things that I literally like stayed away from because of that, which was good, because I think that's what kind of, you said that it was different about me when we started.
Yeah, and we'll get into that now. So I was gonna say that I can kind of talk about how our lives kind of led up to where we met, and I'll talk about it from my end, and you can talk about it from your end. So for me, like I had mentioned, I was saved February 14th, 2017. And after I was saved, I was just basically 6 months before that, I just wanted a girlfriend. I like really bad. I was like just in desperation mode, and you'd be surprised, even in desperation mode, I couldn't find anybody. And so I was like, dang,
Which was crazy, because I remember seeing him in high school and I thought, oh, he's cute. Like, he looks very clean, cute. That's why I was shocked that no girls wanted to be.
That's one of those things where you think, like, honestly, the Lord
really blinded
protected
everyone.
me like big time. Because then if people found me attractive, like I said, I would have just taken advantage of it. But anyway, 6 months, I was just really desperate, trying to find a girlfriend, couldn't find one. After I got saved, I just basically told the Lord, like, you know what, I'm done. Like, I hate playing these games with these girls, because girls always want to play games, And I was just like, I'm sick of this, like texting and then not texting for 3 days and texting me again. I'm like, I'm sick of this. I'm done trying to pursue girls. Like, Lord, if you want me to have a girlfriend, then you show me the right time to do it. I said, but I can wait. Like, I'm not gonna be seeking a girl for a long, long time. I'm cool without it. And I just kind of left it to the Lord. I was like, whatever you want. And so that was like around February 14th that I was praying like that. And 3 weeks later, 3 weeks later, oh man, yeah. It was just one of those things where I was like, oh man, I don't know why. I was on Instagram and I just noticed her. I'd never noticed her in my life before. And I noticed her, I just thought she was very beautiful. And I was like, nah, I'm not gonna do this again. I'm not gonna go down this road where I just want to, DM her or whatever, message her. And I was like, nah, I'm not even gonna do it. And I was just debating it for like a week, like 7 days straight. And I was even asking my cousin, like, should I do it? Should I not do it? What do I do? And I just didn't want to fall back into that same trend of me just pursuing girls like crazy. So I was praying about it for a week. I didn't know what to do. Besides, I didn't want to DM. I think that's just like the worst thing ever. I think that's just like very immature, and I just think that that's very I don't know. It's like
a bad
like
guy
yeah,
kind of
like
thing,
kids do
like,
that. Like
yeah.
kids do that. Like it's disrespectful. That's the word I'm looking
there you
for.
go.
I would rather see her face to face and then ask her out face to face instead. That's just how I felt towards it. So I really did not want to DM her. That's another thing that held me back even more. So I was like, I just don't want to DM her. It just feels so wrong. I had no choice. I was like, I just thought, okay, if I really want to at least talk to her, that's the only way. I didn't have her phone number. I didn't go to school with her. I kind of recognized who she was, but I was like, there's no way to get in contact with her except through this.
Because he already graduated.
Yeah, I graduated a year before she did. So I graduated 2016. She graduated 2017. So I was already in college.
Still in high school.
She was a senior. We're only 4 months apart, but that's just kind of how it played out. So yeah, I was just like, man, there's no other way to go around this. And so basically I just had to end up DMing her. And that is the only shameful part of this story because I don't like that. I just don't like that stuff.
Hey, but it worked.
Yeah, I mean, it did work. It did work. But like I said, I was praying to the Lord a lot because I just did not want to. I told myself time and time again, Zach, you're gonna stop doing this. You're gonna stop doing this, and then I would just continue it a week later, 2 weeks later, whatever. So I was scared. Like, you know what? I don't want to fall into the same trap. Like I know that I've given my life to Christ. I know the Lord's changed me. I'm trying to be a new man in Christ, and I was like just trying to avoid anything like that. And so that's why I was very, very hesitant to do it. But ultimately, I thought, you know what? I'm not even gonna come on strong. I'm just gonna compliment her and just leave it at that. I fully expected her to not even respond to me. I just thought, I'm gonna compliment her. I'm gonna leave it. As a matter of fact, I messaged it. I threw my phone on the bed and I just walked away. I was like, okay, I don't even think she's gonna respond to me because I was very used to not getting responses. So I just thought, I'm gonna leave it. She's probably not gonna message me, whatever. And I just went about my day. And then that's when I saw a response like 3 or 4 hours later. I was like, what the heck is this? And that's kind of like how it first took off from my side. That's how it was on my side. Mm-hmm. And so you can kind of go ahead and talk about what led up to that moment for you.
So, like you said, I was a senior. Senior in high school. I almost was allowed to date, right? I was already 18.
Yeah, because your mom said that once you were 18.
Yeah. So I was already 18. But I don't know, around that time, I guess when February starts to hit, you're like, oh, how lucky girls that have a Valentine. Well, yeah, it's like a girls thing where you're like, how lucky. Like, I guess around that time, I guess I really wanted a boyfriend. I don't know. But I wasn't really searching for it. I was just wanting one. But I remember at our church, we had a youth night. It was like Valentine's theme. And I remember it was like prayer night as well. And I asked the Lord that night, I was like, you know what? I want you to just show me, like, I guess I was just dropping everything, saying like, Lord, you just show me what you want me to do. And I kind of just asked the Lord, like.
Was it on Valentine's Day?
It was around Valentine's Day.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think it was either a couple days before. Yeah, because we celebrate a little before Valentine's Day.
Okay.
And I just asked the Lord to just what's it called? Protect my heart. And I don't want to date anyone if it's not my husband. Like, just show me who my husband, like, I don't want to date anyone if it's not my husband. So I remember just praying that prayer, and I really felt like I just gave it all to the Lord. Like, you do what you want to do with that, you know? So then I think a couple weeks after.
Yeah, it was like weeks. It was like 2 or 3 weeks after Valentine's Day.
I was at a hockey game, and I get a DM from Zach. And I was like, oh, I remember showing my sisters saying, look, it's a guy from high school. They're like, oh, okay. And I knew he was a Christian. I don't know why. I guess we kind of had like the same friends in high school, but not really. Just a couple friends.
People that we knew
Yeah.
Like I knew a person, she knew that same person,
Yeah.
and that's how it
So
was
I
connected.
kind of like knew of him just because, you know, he was really loud. So I guess I just knew of him. And I remember knowing that I knew he was a Christian, but I didn't really know like if you were a legit Christian, you know? So when I saw that you DM'd me, I was like, oh my gosh. So I just went for it. I just said, I think you said like, to be honest, I think you're really cute. Or something like that. Or
No,
I think you're really pretty.
I said pretty or beautiful. I
Yeah,
said one of
something
those
like
things.
that. So then usually I don't respond back to guys like at all. I would never do that because there was no point for me to entertain anything like that. I guess because I knew I couldn't date. But with him, I was like, oh, I know he's a Christian. I think he's a Christian. So
I'm glad you had that idea.
I'll just DM him back, just to DM him back. So I said, thank you. Like, right? Is that all I said? I don't remember what I said.
Thanks, get lost.
I said, thank you. Thank you. Something like that.
Yeah.
That
very
literally
short.
like to not like continue. I just said thank you. And I think literally like 10 minutes later, he continued the conversation. He said like, you went to my high school, right? Or something like that. I was like, okay, this guy really wants to
I was not about to let that conversation die. There's no way.
I was like, okay, I think he wants to keep DMing me. So ever since that day, we haven't stopped texting. Actually, no, he does text me sometimes, but yeah, ever since that day, like it just kind of continued. So our first date was at church.
Yeah, so I was gonna say like leading up to that first date too. I had also told the Lord like I said, Lord, like I'm done playing games. Like if the next girl that I talk to plays any games, and I mean games like where they text and they don't respond, and they compliment you and then they ignore you, and like things like that, you know, where they seem interested and then disinterested. I was sick of that because that's how I had been treated like my entire romantic life if I had one, right? It's just that, you know, reel me in, let me go. And I was just like, I'm done. So I told the Lord, if there's any games going on, I'm just gonna like gone, bye. And I was ready, like at a heart level, I was ready, like with her, even when we were texting leading up to our first date, I was ready. Like the moment I saw her, like stop texting me and then like try something cute like that, I was like, I'm done. I was very ready to do that because I didn't really know her anyway. So like there was no loss there.
Yeah.
And like she said, it just went very smooth. Like nothing came up to where we started playing games with each other. I ignored her, she ignored me, or anything like that. It went very smooth. Like I always tell people, if I can explain our dating process, it was just extremely smooth. Like there was hardly any bumps in the road. And even leading up, go ahead.
Also because I think we went into it like innocently, you know, like.
Yeah, it
like-
wasn't any sort of like
Like.
malintention where I had some sort of secret desire or she
Yeah.
had some sort of secret desire that we didn't know about. It was just very innocent and with the same thing in mind. Like I'm just looking for a wife, she's just looking for a husband. Let's just get to know each other. If it doesn't work out, oh well, that's great. We go our own ways. And so I think what helped out the most is just the fact that we both just surrendered it to the Lord and allowed him to move instead of us trying to make things happen on our own.
Yeah.
And that's honestly what I think just did it. And what allowed us to, like I said, just date so smoothly. You may think I'm exaggerating, but we didn't have our first fight for like 9 months. And the fight was not even a fight. I think she just accidentally said something and it hurt my feelings. And I told her later on, you hurt my feelings. And that was about it. Our first like real fight wasn't until like, a year and 3 months later to where it was like a decent argument. And again, something that was small, something you didn't text me back, something like that. It was not like this, it was far from toxic. I'll just say
Yeah. Oh,
it was
yeah.
the opposite of that. And leading into that first date, like I was just talking about, that's just how it went. And that I felt very comfortable going on the first date. She felt very comfortable going on the first. We were nervous.
Yeah, very nervous. That was
Obviously.
that was the first date I've ever been with with a guy.
Yeah.
But the good thing is that it was at church.
Yeah,
So-
I knew. What did I say? I asked her. I was like, "Hey, would you want to go to the movies or even watch a movie at my house?" I tried saying something that I thought I could get a yes out of, like the most innocent thing, and then she was like, "Oh, my dad's not gonna let me." I was like, "Oh,"
But right when I asked my dad, when you
because
asked
she said my dad's a pastor, something like that. I was like,
Yeah.
"Okay." I was like, "Let's go to church."
and my dad said yes to that right away. So
That was
fun.
great. There was no other way to do it. I was like, okay, if I'm only gonna see you at church, what better place to see you at first than church? So I saw her at church. And it was just, I mean, nothing crazy. Like, we met up at church, we listened to the sermon, we hung out and talked for a little bit afterwards, and then we said bye. And then that was it for the first, I mean, I say that's our first date. You may think that's not even a date. If you're listening to this, you may think that's not even a date. That sounds like a meet and greet. It is what it is, man. That was our
It
first
was a
time that we
date.
met up with each other.
Yeah, because we talked a little afterwards.
Yeah, and we started we just continued to talk to each other. There was no like on and off phase. It was just turn it on and then just keep going.
Yeah.
And again, I was, even then, even like weeks into talking to her, I was still at a heart level ready to say, you know what, like, if I feel like you're playing any games, I'm just gonna tell you it's not gonna work out, because I was very, very, very ready to start looking for a wife, not to date around and to mess around. And going back to like my history, that is one thing that I never had the intention to date a girl to get something out of it, or any sort of like sexual pleasure or anything like that. It was like, if I wanted a girlfriend, I was gonna be committed to that girl. Like, if I liked a girl, the only thing on my mind was to be like your boyfriend. And that was just it. Even in middle school, like, there was no sort of intention of me like using a girl just to get what I wanted out of it. My dad had never taught me like that. I had never learned anything like that. I had never observed that from my parents or anything, or my brother. So like, for me, the only thing that I knew was get a girlfriend, respect her. That was the
Yeah.
bottom line.
Well,
and so,
because a lot of guys don't think like that, especially at that age.
yeah, and I had no experience either. There was no experience
Neither.
on my end. I had like none. I had like none whatsoever. So I couldn't say, yeah, I knew how to talk to girls, I knew how to text them, I knew how to play with them. I didn't know anything like that. And so that, again, that was just like my innocent mindset of just like, okay, I'm gonna talk to a girl, I'm gonna date her, I'm gonna respect her, plain and simple. So
Yeah, and he was very different, because I remember the first date, I went home and my family was like, how was it? And I was like, honestly, I don't think he likes me like at all. I don't think he likes me. I literally thought that you weren't going to invite me again, or like to another date.
why did you think that though?
It's because you didn't, like, I was so used to.
Because I didn't fall at her feet.
Okay. I was so used to, not used to it, but like in high school, guys flirt with you. That's how you know a guy likes you. You know, he's kind of like playing around with you. But with him, he was like the first guy that never like, it's not like he didn't show that he wasn't interested. It's just he wouldn't flirt with me. Like, it kind of felt like I went on a date with a friend. You know what I mean? No, because he wasn't flirting with me. So I was like, you know what? I don't think he likes me. But it was like literally the complete opposite.
And yeah, that, like for me,
But it's okay, because that was very different compared to like what other guys would do. You know?
Yeah, because I didn't know how to flirt. Like, I didn't know the method. I didn't know what to say. I just knew to compliment, and that was about it. So I didn't know how to flirt. Again, if I had known that, I probably would have been a totally different story, because I would have tried to take advantage of it, and that maybe even might have been a turnoff for her.
Yeah,
I don't
probably
know.
would have, honestly.
I don't know. And so I would, like I said, just very innocently, like, hey, let's go to church. And that's just kind of how it took off from there. So yeah, so then since 2017, I first texted her like March 2017, March 4th, 2017. I asked her to be my girlfriend June 3rd. Was it June 3rd?
No, don't ask me. He's better at dates than me. I'm not
No,
sure.
what was it?
No, it was.
I asked you to be my girlfriend.
It was in June.
It was in June, huh?
Because it was already it was warmer around that time. It was June or July.
I think June 17th or something like that. I'll look it up. I think it was like June 17th. I know a lot of the dates.
Yeah,
I know when I told her I first loved her. I know when I first kissed her, all that stuff. But for whatever reason, I don't know when I asked you to be my girlfriend. It was in June.
It was.
I know
it was
in-
the 17th, I think.
It was right before I left out of town.
Yeah.
Because I was gonna
It
go
was
out
the
of
day
town.
before, I think.
Yeah. So I started talking to her March. Again, this just shows like my level of how serious I wanted to take it, and how I didn't just want to step on the gas. I started talking to her in March. I didn't kiss her till like 3 months later.
That was
And
just like a pet.
And I'm talking like a kiss, like
Like my teeth.
Yeah, like you kiss your sister. Like, it's just like, you know,
What?
like a little peck is what I'm saying. Like, it's nothing like a very innocent. Like, it wasn't like I was kissing
No,
you.
it was just
like you
like-
kiss a family member or something. That's honestly what I knew how to do. I didn't know anything else. So.
Sorry, our kids are asleep.
But
yeah,
yeah,
it was very slow, very, very
extremely.
slow pace.
Apparently for her, I didn't notice. Behind the scenes, she was just dying for me to kiss her. She's like, well, when is he gonna
No.
kiss me? I just took it slow because I was like, why do I want to rush that? Like, besides, I was nervous as heck. Like, I didn't know how I was gonna do it. I didn't know when I was gonna do it. I didn't know where I was gonna do it. I just didn't know anything, and I didn't know how she was gonna respond to it. So I was having fun. No kissing was fun. That 3 months.
I've never kissed anyone before, so I was even more nervous because I didn't know what to expect, like at all. But it was fun. We've been together for 8 years, right?
So
Total
March
8
2017,
years.
yeah, it's been about like 8 years, like knowing each other, like actually knowing each other,
Yeah.
talking with each other since the talking stage, whatever. Since then, it's been 8 years. So 2017 March, right now we're in June 2025. That's disgusting. That number is crazy.
Yeah.
So yeah,
8
8 years, married almost 5 years. It'll be 5 years in August. But yeah, that's just gonna be our little intro for our podcast. Next time we'll kind of get a little bit more involved in finer details about our marriage and all these other things like that. But if you guys are listening and you guys stuck around to the end, thank you guys so much for sticking with us. So hopefully you guys come in and listen to us again soon. We'll see you guys next time.